Ladies, you really shouldn't let yourselves reach your 30s and still be unmarried. Today, I came to the city, and what struck me the most was that I don't want to see that disappointed look on my mother's face. There's no one introducing me to potential partners, not even someone who's been married before. Honestly, don't let yourselves stay single into your 30s without getting married. I was married, but I'm still a virgin. Would you still be willing to marry me? Today, I was talking to a girl who told me something unbelievable. She said she had been married, but was still a virgin. When I heard that, honestly, I couldn't believe my ears. But slowly, I began to understand her story. A year and a half ago, she was 28, a graduate student, and had just finished her studies. But her family thought she was getting older, so they introduced her to the son of her father's colleague. At the time, they hit it off really well, everything seemed perfect, and both families already knew each other. So, after about 4 or 5 months of dating, they decided to get married. At first, she was really excited about married life. And, the guy never made any overly intimate moves, always keeping the best for the wedding night. But on the night of their wedding, he told her he had something hard to confess. She thought it was a physical issue, maybe something wrong with him, and thought he'd seek medical help. However, about a month later, she discovered a secret. On his phone, there were some very intimate conversations. When she pressed him for answers, he finally admitted that he had a stable boyfriend. So, shortly after, they divorced. Now, she has a question. Will this situation affect her future choices in a partner? She wonders, are there still men willing to accept her?
I used to have a close friend who loved telling everyone that she was a virgin. She would post on social media, claiming to be a virgin, and hoped that girls and boys who had a preference for virgins would add her on WeChat for private chats. She did this on QQ first, then switched to WeChat, creating a feeling like she was selling herself, almost like a pimp. By claiming to be a virgin, she attracted a lot of men with certain fetishes or preferences for that. Since she started calling herself a virgin, the attention from men increased dramatically. Before that, she was the type of girl who got along better with other girls, and the boys weren't really interested in her. But after she started saying she was a virgin, many boys became interested, and she even started asking all the other girls if they were virgins. For example, during group activities, like Truth or Dare, she would ask every girl this question, making rounds every week. I found it extremely offensive, low, and trashy. But she didn't think it was an issue, she believed she was doing men a favor. She'd say, "Are you a virgin? If you are, great. If not, it's fine." She even made an Excel sheet listing all the girls in the class, marking whether they were virgins or not. When I found out about it, I immediately cut her off and made her a cold friend. I found it disgusting to be associated with someone who acted like that. However, many of her male friends, after seeing her posts, started to learn about me. She would tag all the girls she didn't get along with in those posts and say, "These are my good friends." Those boys would then add me on QQ through these tags. During that time, I couldn't even use my QQ properly because it was flooded with messages. I've since stopped logging into that QQ account because of all the disgusting things she did. The worst part was that she would go out with many of the boys she liked, and every time they went to a hotel, she would send me pictures, saying, "I'm going out with my crush," with pictures from the hotel room. She felt proud of it. As time passed, she turned 30 and moved to a small town. She continued claiming to be a virgin, as if it was still important. What she didn't expect was that after 30, no man was paying her any attention. She simply became invisible. The guys who once worshipped her when she was younger just didn't care anymore. She realized that, over time, her virginity no longer had the same appeal. In the end, the men who once fawned over her simply stopped caring. It was as if she had disappeared in their eyes. Even after graduating from university, she continued declaring herself a virgin. Before, it was just something she'd post on social media, but after starting her job, she blocked all her old acquaintances and moved to a city where no one knew her. She restarted her social media, posting about being a virgin as if she were reliving her university years. I really don't understand what these women are trying to do.
Why do women in the public sector end up becoming leftover women as they get older? I've realized this myself, and when I reflect on it, I came to a conclusion: it's because I haven't chosen enough. I can't settle for less, and my standards just keep getting higher with time. Working in the public sector, the salary isn't amazing, but it's enough to support myself, which is already a big advantage. Plus, I have my weekends and holidays off, the work environment is great, and the benefits are excellent. I'd say that from the moment I entered the system, the state and the institution became responsible for me, and I don't really have to worry about the future. In terms of finances and quality of life, I pretty much have everything I need. And honestly, whether I get married or not doesn't seem to affect me much. But what I've noticed and what people say is that women like me who are in the public sector and can't find a partner end up being seen as impossible to conquer. They say that if we aren't married by this age, it's because we aren't attractive enough, that the beautiful ones are already married. I always thought that was true, but now I see it's not really the case. If I were a man and met a woman in her late 30s who had never been married, but was attractive and had a good position in the public sector, I'd have to think twice before making a decision. It would be hard not to wonder if she has some kind of issue, if her personality wouldn't mesh well with mine, or if her parents are difficult to deal with. The truth is, maybe she has very high standards like me. At 37 or 38, single and in a respectable position at work, it would be hard to find someone who could really match me. Also, at that age and never having been married, maybe I'd prefer someone who had already been married and divorced, someone with more life experience. And that's when I realized, little by little, I've become that woman who's still single and beautiful in the public sector. And maybe, like me, many others feel the same way. So what would you choose?
Today, I want to talk about something that has really left me feeling outraged. You know, after coming back home, I started reflecting on something I never imagined would affect me so much. What happens to women when they reach their 30s? Why does it seem like, all of a sudden, they become invisible to men? I, myself, have always been very independent, focused on my goals, but now, after turning 30, it feels like my value has diminished in the eyes of others. And I'm not alone. Many women in this age group are facing the same thing. It's like, once you hit 30, you lose something that men once sought after. They don't want to know about you anymore. I keep asking myself, what is the logic behind this? Why do men prefer younger women? What is wrong with being a mature woman, with life experience, who knows what she wants? Why is it that, when a woman reaches this stage in life, she starts being seen as over the hill, too old? And the most frustrating part is that many of us are still taking care of ourselves, investing in ourselves, but it seems like that doesn't matter. Because, in the end, what counts is youth, appearance, the idea that a younger woman has more to offer. I honestly don't understand. Why, once you're 30, is a woman no longer available? Does she lose potential? What does this say about how society views the worth of a woman? What happened to respecting choices and life experience? Isn't it unfair that, after so many years of fighting, being successful, smart, and independent, you're just ignored because you're over 30? And what's worse, it seems that even the younger men, those who were once at our feet, now simply don't look at us anymore. It's like, once you hit 30, you disappear from the social scene. It's frustrating. It's not that I think being younger is a problem, but why does society push the idea that only young women have value? The worst part is that even I, with more experience, with more life lived, and more wisdom, see my options with men shrinking drastically. They simply turn their backs on you, as if you had a flaw. And why? Because you're over 30? Because you're not a girl anymore? And that hurts, because many of us end up thinking, was this the cost of dedicating ourselves so much to our careers, our dreams, our personal growth? When I was younger, I always believed that experience and character were what mattered. Now, I see that it seems like everything people want is appearance, youth. I feel devalued, like once I passed 30, the world just turned its back. I'm not going to lie, I'm outraged. Why did men who were once interested in me no longer see me? Is it, deep down, that we're just a number? Does time, experience, and the achievements we've had mean nothing to these men? What bothers me the most is that, many times, when you try to talk about this, people just don't understand. They say it's normal, that everyone will age one day, but so what? Society doesn't care about that. What's valued is youth, and we, mature women, who have so much to offer, are left behind. This is deeply unfair, and it's time to question what truly matters when it comes to relationships.
Every Wednesday I wonder, is there any man willing to accept a woman like me who is in her early 30s? I was born in 1995, I'm 32 years old, and I've never had a relationship. I'm still in this phase of getting to know myself, but I feel embarrassed to tell the truth. Even though I want to get married, I believe many couples fight because of lies. I've never asked for an expensive wedding gift from a man. What I really want is to prove that I'm a conservative and traditional woman because I grew up in an environment where my mother was always honest with my father. I've taken care of my mother alone. So, despite all the financial struggles, I never had time to get involved in a relationship. I preferred to work and help my mother with medical treatments. Even with all this effort, I still haven't found anyone who could help or be a companion. Now I'm trying to pay off my debts so that next year when I'm more stable I can focus on other things. Still, my main focus is still helping my mother. Now I ask myself, would a 55-year-old man willing to marry in the future accept me? And I also want to know if there's any man willing to make a commitment promise. Currently, there is a curious phenomenon in the marriage market. Originally, teachers with stable jobs who were easy to marry have gradually been left behind. Especially in small towns, there are many teachers over 30 who are still single. Why is this happening? From the perspective of a matchmaker, there are a few main reasons. The first is that, when they graduate, teachers start working and many of them have never been exposed to society. You could say they spend their whole lives inside schools, dealing only with students, which is completely different from the interaction they would have in private companies. In short, they haven't experienced the difficulties of real life. Therefore, many teachers tend to have an idealistic view of life, believing that both love and marriage are perfect. When choosing a partner, they look for perfection from height and appearance to internal qualities like personality and values. They have extremely strict standards and any small flaw is unacceptable, making it very hard to find someone. The second reason is that some of them have a competitive mentality and a misunderstanding of themselves. For example, a teacher from Suzhou who was looking for a partner said that she had a boyfriend. But when she visited a married colleague's home, she was shocked to find that the colleague lived in a large mansion, and her husband appeared to be highly intelligent. After talking with her colleagues, she discovered that the colleague's husband was a foreigner, and the couple had a very comfortable life. After that, she started to dislike her current boyfriend, finding all kinds of things wrong with him and constantly criticizing him. They broke up several times. She even said something that left us quite stunned: "I'm a teacher just like she is. Why can she find a husband who studied abroad and I can only find a man who works in a private company?" We didn't know how to help someone like that, so we just asked her to leave. In fact, many rural women who, through great effort, became civil servants, often have a mistaken perception of themselves. They think that because they've reached a stable position, they can find a man as good as those women from higher-class public sector families. In reality, they only share the same profession and getting a public sector job is impressive, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've moved up in social class. The third reason is the disdain for people working in the private sector and the obsession with finding someone from the public sector. Some people see the public sector as an important barrier, and many teachers who come to us for matchmaking want their partners to also work in the public sector. There's nothing wrong with this, but some people end up looking down on any other kind of work. We've had cases where a woman earned $20,000 a month, but her parents despised the man because he didn't work in the public sector and didn't have a fixed position, and she thought that man was worthless. This obsession with the public sector is one of the reasons why some women end up being left behind. In reality, being a teacher is a stable and excellent condition, but to get married, it's important to evaluate your own conditions and reflect on what you really want. When you're younger, it's possible to look for a partner who matches your expectations and allows you to live a calm life. However, if you wait too long, no stable job will make you young again.
More and more women over 30, those called leftovers, are ending up alone, and the explanation for this is quite simple, although not always obvious. When these women leave smaller cities and move to larger urban centers, they bring with them a dream to find a successful man with a good financial situation and preferably a good appearance as well. They want that Prince Charming who can provide a stable and comfortable life. However, the harsh truth is that when they arrive in the bigger cities, they begin to realize that the competition is much greater than they imagined. And the men, who could be their ideal partners, are becoming increasingly aware of these women who come from outside, with high expectations and a focus solely on their financial condition. Local men, those who have deep roots in the city, know exactly what these women are looking for. It's not love, they seek security. And when the women come with this focus, the men start to get suspicious. They don't want to be just an option of interest. They want someone who is truly interested in who they are, not what they have. And so the situation becomes even more complicated for these women. They don't want to return to their hometowns because they are already accustomed to the pace of urban life. But at the same time, they feel like outsiders in a place where the chances of finding a real partner are scarce. The truth is, the more time passes, the more they realize that the window for finding an ideal partner is closing. These women end up in a paradoxical situation. They want to maintain their high standards, but at the same time, they realize that time is running out and their options are becoming more limited. They look at local men, but these men have different expectations, seeking something more compatible with their reality, with their roots. And for these women, the men who don't meet their criteria start to seem inferior. However, this vision of perfection and unrealistic standards ends up becoming an obstacle for them. What they don't realize is that, by holding on to this idealistic standard, they are pushing away the chances of being happy, of finding someone with whom they can truly build something real. What seemed like a path to happiness is becoming an emotional prison, where they feel increasingly alone, more isolated, and more frustrated. The reality is harsh, but it's the only one they need to accept in order to move forward. They have passed the fertile age, and often, their own dreams and expectations become more of a burden than an opportunity. And the men, aware of this, often prefer to look for younger women who have a profile more compatible with the life they are seeking. Therefore, the women who are left behind, over time, may realize that the life they hoped for is no longer within their reach. They will be alone because the perfection they saw in others was actually in a reality they created themselves, and now it's too late to change. In summary, the big cities, with their dreams and promises, end up becoming a cruel setting for those who arrive too late. The best thing is to realize that sometimes opportunities are much closer than we think, but we need to be willing to let go of certain standards to embrace what can really bring happiness. What do you think about this? If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.